guys, Simon Bryson here, and for the longest time ever, I've always loved riddles and also trick questions. So when someone told me for the first time, Tommy, do you want $1 million today, or basically one penny double for 30 days? Which one do you want? Well, just to be a contrarian, I said, hey, I want the penny double. They're like, how do you know? And my answer was like, hey, I didn't know. I'm not that smart. But the point is, it just sounded like the wrong answer. And why would he ask me such an obvious answer? So that's why I picked the other answer, right? But the answer is, guys, when I asked other people, they always said basically, I want the $1 million today. And in reality, after I did all the math, I found that basically that was the wrong answer. Because in reality, if you got the money doubled over 30 days, you would have a ton more money than $1 million. And today, I'm going to share those answers with you also. But on top of that, I want to talk about compound interest, how it works, and also how to use it when it comes to investing in the stock market. And by the way, I'll show you exactly what I invest my money into, how much money I get back, and what my strategy actually is. And also, what else can you use compound interest on to actually learn a lot faster? So the goal of this video is not just to tell you the answer to a riddle, but also show you exactly how I use this answer on my everyday life to go ahead and make me more money. That's the goal for this video. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, let's get started, and let's start at the beginning. And let's start with the riddle. Now, the last thing I want to do is just go on Google and say, hey guys, here's the picture that says basically the penny joke is actually real, right? I actually want to show you guys exactly how I got the answer by using Excel. And by the way, this right here is Microsoft Excel. And by the way, it's one of the best things I learned while being in college. And if you don't know how to use Excel, I highly recommend you learn how to use it, because basically it's a very, very good tool, okay? And I'll send you guys a link down below to like a paper book. That way it's like $12 or like $5. And that way you can learn Excel from home. But by the way, they also have like a digital version. I recommend the physical version. And that way you can basically learn Excel on your computer, but also have like the book. I like those better when I'm actually learning, okay? I like to have a physical book. But here it is, guys, okay? Here's how you figure it out. By the way, it's 30 days, but in this case, I'm going to do 31 days just so you guys see the big difference here, okay? And by the way, with Excel, I don't have to keep typing 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I just run the numbers down all the way and everything should adjust. And there you go. 31 days in total. I'm going to highlight this right here. And by the way, again, I'm going to start off with 1 penny. And 1 penny is 0.01. And I'm going to put it right here in the dollar symbol. That way we know exactly that we're talking about money and not crazy stuff, okay? So in this case, all I want to do is basically equals and then multiply this number by 2. And I want to do the same exact thing again for day 3. So multiply this number right here by 2. But again, I don't want to be here all day, so I'm just going to drag it down and basically have Excel figure out the answer for me. So in this case, okay, by day 30, I would have around 5.3 million. But just to show you guys how extreme this is that just with 1 extra day, I would have an additional $5 million, putting me at $10.7 million. So would you rather have $1 million today, or for example, a penny double for 30 days, or even better, 31 days? The answer is obvious. You want to have it double, and that way you'll make a lot of money, because with this formula right here, it shows you on day 28, you would have around 1.3 million. By day 30, 5.3. By day 31, you would have $10.7 million, okay? Now, obviously, this is a pretty extreme version of compound interest, and no one in their right mind will make a deal with you this way to pay you this much money for a penny, right? No one is going to do this for you. And most likely, if you do this yourself, by like around day 20 or so, you're going to run out of money. So obviously, compound interest works. This is an extreme version, but it helps you see exactly how it works. And by the way, if you want to learn how to use Excel, I'm going to put that link down below. And again, I use Excel for budgets, for tracking my investments, for everything, even like working out, okay? So Excel, one of the best tools I've learned in college, but I'd rather you pay $5 than go to college, and learn it. So down below is a link to the Excel worksheet, and that way you know exactly how to use it. I love Excel, and that's why I'm recommending it. Now, let's talk about a real example here, guys, okay? Because again, no one in their right mind is going to pay you this much interest on an investment. And if they say they're going to, well, call me and I'll tell you to your face that is a scam. No one is going to double your money every single day. It's impossible, okay? Well, someone will tell you that, but it's very likely they're probably scamming you. So just stay away from those deals. But the point is, on average, if you invest the way I invest in the stock market, you're going to get a return of around 8 to 10% every single year. Now, that does not mean you're doubling your money every single day, but 8 to 10% is actually a very good return over a 10 to 20 year period. Now, last thing I want to do here is tell you, hey, my portfolio makes me this much money, but then not show you what I invest into. So I want to show you guys exactly what I put my money in and why I put my money into those investments also. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys this picture right here, okay? And this right here is a picture of Warren Buffett's net worth, okay? And this way, I want to show you guys exactly how cool compound interest is when you're investing for the long term, okay? And by the way, this is from Warren Buffett's age of 14 all the way up to age 81. 2015 or so, okay? And by the way, Warren Buffett is still around, and I hope he's around for another 100 years, okay? But the answer is that basically, at age 14, he was only worth around 5K. But by age 36, he was already worth around $8 million, okay? And that is a lot of money. And by age around like 56, he was already worth around $1 billion. And how did he actually do this, Tommy, okay? The answer is that basically, guys, okay, the average return of the S&P 500, the largest companies in the US, the top 500 ones, is around between 7 to 10% every single year. However, Warren Buffett beat the market consistently for the past like 40 years or so, making around an average of 20.5% every single year. So obviously, by doing this and investing the correct way into his companies and all that stuff, he managed to amass a ton of wealth. And I showed you guys this because basically, this is going to be exactly how your net worth is going to look when you use compound interest to help you. By the way, compound interest works on the way down with bad habits, bad money skills, and bad money management. So if you keep doing those things over the time, they will get worse. If you do those things correctly over time, they will get better. Now, here is exactly what I actually invest into, guys, okay? Now, by the way, I use M1 Finance to actually invest. And by the way, my portfolio right now is worth around $39,490, and I'm actually down around 1.15%. But obviously, this portfolio right here, I've only had it for the past 3 months or so, but my portfolio has been the same for the past 2 years, but it's just not been in M1 Finance. Although now, I'm transferring some investments from my other brokers over to M1 Finance. But the point is, overall, my portfolio has a value, well, a gain of around 30% or so. But in M1 Finance is not that high because I literally just started around 3 months ago. And right now, the market is very like fluctuative, okay? So just keep that in mind. But here are my investments right here. And by the way, everything is down in the description down below, including a link to my investments and also all the investments by name and how much money I actually put into it. Now, right here, my first investment is into VOO. And this is basically Vanguard, the S&P 500 ETF, which tracks the top 500 largest companies in the US. And I put around 38% of all my money into here. And then I also do VEA, which is Vanguard Developed Markets, which is basically outside of America, big companies out of America, and I only put around 16%, okay? And also VB small cap around 14%. And by the way, guys, did you guys know that small cap means less than $1 billion in market cap, which basically means it is still a big company, but comparatively, it is still pretty small. On top of that, I invest into SHI, which is basically short-term treasury bonds, and also LQD, which is basically corporate bonds, and also VNQ, which is also REITs, which is real estate investments, and lastly, emerging markets, which is actually pretty risky. But the point of this portfolio is that the goal of it is basically when one part of it goes up, the other part usually goes down, and that way I keep a very good average, and that's the goal. And if you guys notice here, although Vanguard, the S&P 500 is down right now 2%, well, outside of the US in the developed markets, well, I'm actually up around 2.6%, okay? So the idea is that sometimes the US is going to do fine, but sometimes outside the US is actually going to perform a lot better. And also, almost every time when bonds are actually going up, well, stocks tend to actually go down. So the goal of the portfolio is to actually maintain balance. And again, this is exactly what I invest into. If you click the link down below, you get to invest into this portfolio also. And on average, it returns between 8 to 10% every single year when you actually get the average of around 10 to 20 years. But some years it might do 14%, 30%. Some years it might do, for example, 10%, 3%, and sometimes even negative. But if you get the average over 10 to 20 years, it's going to be around 8 to 10%. Now that you guys know exactly what I invest into and why, now I want to use a compound interest calculator to show you guys exactly how much wealth you can achieve by just investing 10% of how much you make every single year. Now let's assume every year you make around $60,000. You're gonna put aside 10%, which is going to be around $6K every single year, okay? Only 10% of how much money you make, I want you to set aside. Now, here's exactly what's going to happen if you invested it into this portfolio if we get the same averages, okay? Now here is the calculator. Now, again, let's say, for example, you started out with $0, okay? And again, you're going to put in 10% of how much you make. In this case, you make 60K, and that's around 6K every single year, okay? So in this case, let's put in $60,000. And again, you're going to give this money 10 years to grow, and it's also going to grow at an average of around 8%. Now, I also want to tell you guys one thing here, guys, okay? Just for some quick math and quick reference here, so everybody knows here, literally, if you invest 10% of your income over 10 years, you're going to have 1 full year of salary, okay? So in this case, 6K multiplied by 10 years, you're supposed to have around $60,000 invested. In this case, by using compound interest and also your investments, you're going to have around $93,000, okay? That's an extra 33K, almost 50% more money than you would have just by leaving it in a savings account. But on top of that, let's say, for example, you did it for 20 years, okay? In 20 years, again, you're supposed to have around 120K if you left that money in a savings account. But in this case, you would have around $296,000, which is almost an extra $176,000, okay? So it's a lot more money. Now, let's say, for example, you said, hey, Tommy, I'm going to leave this money in here for the next 40 years and keep investing money every single year, and let's see exactly what happens, okay? Well, over 40 years, you're going to have around $1.6 million. However, if you just did that and just saved that money, well, in reality, 6K times 40, supposed to be like around 240, I think. Well, it's going to be around 240K, okay? So in reality, instead of having 240 in savings accounts, you get to have around $1.6 million actually invested into your investment account. And that is the cool thing about compound interest, and that is why I love it, okay? But by the way, guys, this does not include, for example, your dividends, because although this portfolio is pretty cool, it also does pay you dividends. So if you grab that money and reinvested it around 2 to 2.83% additional every single year, well, in reality, guys, you would have, let's say, for example, instead of an 8% return, you would have a 10% return. Well, instead of having 1.6 million, you would actually have an additional 1.2 to 1.3 million for a total of 2.9 million instead of 1.6 million. And that's the cool thing about compound interest, okay? And by the way, guys, all of those is pretty cool. Imagine if you did more than 10%, and imagine if you did, for example, 30%. In reality, that would be around $18,000 every single year. And in 40 years, that would be around $8.7 million. In 20 years, that would be around $1.1 million. And by the way, if you use the 4% rule to actually retire early, in reality, this portfolio can pay you 40K every single year after 20 years. And you can still have the money keep growing and growing and growing without you having to dip into the actual capital and ever run out of money. That is called the 4% rule when it comes to retirement, okay? It's very, very effective. But the whole point is this, guys. So far, you saw my investment portfolio, exactly what I invest into, how much money you could have in 20 to 30 to 40 years if you invested, for example, 10% of your income. And by the way, links down below to everything. Go ahead and play around with this calculator right here. But lastly, guys, I want to say one last thing here. And it's that basically, although compound interest works for basically money, your work, investing, and all that stuff, it also works when it comes to knowledge, okay? Say, for example, if you graduate from school and you never read a book again, you're never going to get more information. But for example, if you read a book every single year, you're going to get smarter every single year. And over the long term, that's going to compound. But for example, if you did even more and read a book, for example, every single week, you're going to get very, very smart every single day. Well, that's awesome also. But the point is, knowledge also compounds. And the more you learn, well, the better you'll get at whatever you're trying to get better at. But at least focus on exactly what you read and what it's about. Don't read about everything out there. Read about what interests you and also what's important to you and also what's important to your career and what you want to achieve. For example, every single day I read around 2 hours, and that's around 600 hours every single year. But it's all about finance, all about money, self-improvement, and that's what interests me. So whatever interests you, cooking, fitness, whatever it is, learn more about it every single day. And start off with just 10 minutes or 10 pages every single day, and that's going to help you out a ton. Again, all the links down below for Excel, my portfolio, and also the calculator. That way you know exactly how to use it and how to play around with everything here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you like this video right here, well, like this video. On top of that, also, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And if you want to talk to me or text me, subscribe to my Patreon, link down below. For example, just send me a DM on Instagram, Ty Bryson. And lastly, if you want to watch a video of my portfolio and how much money it makes me every single month, watch this video right here and click me out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.